This morning, we do, as I mentioned, have a special guest with us, Pastor Yaroslav. And so, I'm going to give him the microphone. Now, I've asked him to speak in English, but I think he's a little shy. You can understand that, so pray for me as I'm going to attempt to translate for him. So, he's going to explain a little bit about himself, about his church, and about his love for music and how it connects him to God. And then he's going to play a little bit for us, right?
Yes. Thank you very much. Я в первую очередь хочу поблагодарить
First off, I would like to thank
пастора Дэна за то, что он пригласил меня.
Pastor Dan because he invited me here.
За то, что вы слушаете.
I want to thank you for listening to me.
Я действительно из России, из Нижнего Новгорода. Это регион реки Волги.
I am really, in reality, I'm from Russia. I'm from the city of Nizhny, Novgorod, which is in the Volga River region.
Это 400 километров на восток от Москвы.
It's about 400 kilometers east of Moscow.
Там соединяются две реки, Волга и Ока.
It's where two major rivers in Russia, the Volga River and the Oka River, come together.
Это очень большой город, сравнительно красивый город,
It's a
большой.
very big and beautiful city.
1 миллион 200 тысяч человек.
There are about 1.2 million people that live in the city itself.
И лютеране там появились в 16 веке.
Lutherans, the Lutheran faith, first came about in the city of Nizhny Novgorod in the 16th century.
Это в основном были военнопленные и купцы, которые торговали.
For the most part, it was soldiers who came to fight in Russia and then stayed afterwards, because that's what you do after a war. But also people who came to sell stuff from Europe came and they settled in that region, and that's how they began to build Lutheran churches.
У них была своя каменная церковь с органом в 19 веке. Каменная церковь.
There was a stone church that they built
с немецким органом.
with the help of the German. With the help of Germans.
Они имели свою школу.
And they actually built their own Lutheran school.
И до революции было 1000 человек. Для города это было много, потому что всего 90 тысяч.
There was about 90, before the revolution, the communist revolution, there was about 90,000 people that lived in the city, but there was about 1,000 number of people that were members and worshipers in the Lutheran Church.
Но вы, наверное, знаете, что история в Советском Союзе была
трагичная. Now you probably know the story of the church under the Soviet Union. It's very tragic.
Потому что церкви закрывали.
Because they closed all the churches.
Здания разрушали.
They destroyed all the church buildings.
Верующих очень многих репрессировали.
And they persecuted many of the believers and the followers of Jesus.
Те, которые не смогли уехать.
All of those who couldn't run away or leave the country.
И вот в 90-х годах, уже 20-х,
in the 1990s,
в России идет возрождение много христианских церквей.
And in Russia in the 1990s, you saw kind of a revival of churches in Russia.
И строительство церквей.
And in the building of rebuilding of churches.
И Бог очень благословил нас, лютеран в Нижнем Новгороде, потому что мы построили первый этап всей церкви, вот этот пасторский дом.
In Nizhny Novgorod, God blessed the Lutheran church there because they were able to build what they call a prayer house or a pastor's house on the site of an old Lutheran cemetery. And they were one of the first churches that was able to rebuild itself.
В центре города со своей детской площадкой в центре города.
It's right in the middle of the city with its own children's playground on its territory.
У нас небольшой пока приход, 60 постоянных членов.
We have about 60 worshiping members of our church.
У нас есть все традиционные служения, воскресная школа.
They have a very traditional Lutheran service. They have after that a children's church.
Два разных служения в воскресенье, традиционная литургия и служение более простое.
They have two worship services actually each weekend. The first one is a very traditional liturgical service like we have, and the second one is kind of a little bit more simplified worship service.
Мы встречаемся семейными парами.
We have ministries like when we meet together as family groups.
В этом году мы провели очень хорошо детский лагерь.
In this past year, actually, we had an incredibly successful and moving children's camp.
было 52 ребенка не из церкви.
There were 52 children who weren't at all connected to our church who came to this camp.
Приехало 12 братьев и сестер лютеран из
There were
Канады.
12 brothers and sisters from a Lutheran church in Canada who came, and they participated in this camp.
И они делали евангелизационный лагерь по английскому языку.
And they did, it was kind of an evangelistic camp in English, and helped through teaching English and through connecting with the children who came, helped connect them to God.
Это была целая неделя.
It was a whole week long, every day.
Да. И это был очень хороший опыт вообще общения, и дети просто были счастливы.
It was, for those of you who are wondering, it's kind of like when we do in the summer our week-long children's, what do you call it again in English? Not work camp, for little kids. Bible school, vacation Bible school. They did like a vacation Bible school, is what it's explaining.
Поэтому, если у вас будет какое-то сердечное желание помочь в этом служении в России, это очень хорошая идея вот этих английских лагерей.
It was an incredible new experience for them, and so we wanted to say, if you have it in your heart to want to help out the ministry in Russia, you can feel free to come next summer, and they would welcome any of you who want to come and help them do this outreach again.
Конечно, у нас есть свой приходской сайт, интернет-сети, то есть
Of course, we have our own website.
И мы через интернет приглашаем людей не из церкви.
And through the internet and through social media, we invite children from around the city who have no connection otherwise to the church or to God.
На музыкальные концерты, которые у нас
We also invite them to musical concerts.
Потому что у нас есть очень хороший орган, который подарили немцы из Эссена.
We have an incredible organ, a church organ, which was gifted to us by a German church. And it's a kind of a big deal for us. And so we invite them to listen to concerts on the organ.
И примерно раз в месяц мы вот имеем обязательно один какой-то музыкальный концерт.
And so not less than one time a month we will have this kind of event, where a musical event, where we invite people who are not connected to the church to come, kind of as an outreach event.
Мы с удовольствием смотрим художественные фильмы и обсуждаем их.
We often will gather together to watch, kind of do a movie night where we have a discussion afterwards.
И две группы у нас воскресной школы, я имею в виду разные, то есть младшие и старшие.
There's also two different children's ministries that we have for Sunday school.
Старшая группа, там есть такая популярное движение реконструкция. И они иногда даже одевают старые одежды, то есть реконструкторы.
Okay, the older church school, children's church group, they have this thing where they, it's called reconstruction, and they like to dress up as people from older ages and experience life that way.
Если говорить о трудностях, то может быть всего одна, что сегодня нужно с каждым человеком общаться близко, чтобы он пришел в церковь.
We talk about the difficulties that our church faces. In our culture, in our society right now, it's very difficult to have intimate or close conversations with other people.
И всегда нужно держать вот эту близкую связь человека.
And so we're always trying to kind of hold on to what close connections we have.
Потому что я думаю, что жизнь в России, так же как и здесь, трудна.
I think that's not just a problem in Russia, but it's also a problem everywhere.
И самое большое благословение у нас с вами здесь церковь, это в церкви это общение друг с другом.
And one of the biggest blessings and thanks we have to God is that the fellowship that He's given us between believers, because that's different than what a lot of people in our society experience.
Вы понимаете, что каждый из вас вот этот один камень в общем здании церкви, каждый из.
Every one of you is a building block for the church.
И мы с большой надеждой все равно смотрим на то, сколько будет людей в будущем.
We have a lot of hope on how we look at how the future is going to go and the people that God is going to bring to us.
До революции у лютеран были свои школы.
Up to the revolution, the communist revolution, there were many Lutheran schools in our city.
Сейчас во всей России нет ни одной лютеранской школы.
And now throughout all of Russia, there's not one Lutheran school anywhere.
Только несколько православных школ в крупных городах.
In fact, there's almost no religious or Christian schools, private schools at all in Russia. There's only maybe one or two Russian Orthodox schools.
То есть атеистическое прошлое, оно такое глубокое серьезно.
It's a deep problem that has resulted because of what has happened in our country, but it wasn't always like that.
Я родился тоже в атеистической семье. В атеистической семье родился.
I was born into an atheistic family.
Я в 14 лет только нашел глубоко спрятанную Библию в
When I was 14, I found a Bible that was hidden underneath the cushions of the couch.
В доме, где я вырос, в моей семье было очень много книг.
In the home where I grew up, there were books everywhere.
Но ни одной христианской.
But there's not one Christian book, except that Bible that was hidden under the couch.
И когда в советской школе я учился, мне 50 лет.
I'm 50 years old, and so I grew up in the Soviet Union, and I studied in a Soviet school.
И когда у нас был каждый вторник политическая информация, политический урок.
Every Tuesday we had a political lesson.
Нас учили тому каждую неделю, как плохо живут в капиталистических странах.
Every Tuesday we would gather together, and in this lesson they would teach us how horrible people live under capitalism in the West, especially in America.
Как им трудно жить, как им
How
бедно.
difficult it was for them to live and how poor they were.
Я запомнил один урок, когда пришел завуч школы, помощник директора.
I remember one lesson when a very important director or official came to our school.
И она сказала серьезным голосом.
And she said in a very serious voice.
Она сказала, у нас большое происшествие, то есть как большой случай.
Something very important has happened.
Одна девочка в нашей школе ходит в церковь.
One incredibly important thing has happened. A young girl in our church has started going to church.
Я это сказал, чтобы вы понимали, насколько благодатная ситуация здесь у вас.
And I say that only because I'm thankful for the situation that you guys have here.
У вас есть замечательное здание.
You have an incredibly wonderful building.
Все вы.
You are all together.
Хороший пастор, хороший музыкант.
You said you have a nice pastor. You have a wonderful musician.
Вот самое большое мое впечатление в Америке.
My biggest impression of America.
Как Бог действительно благословляет эту страну.
How God in reality blesses this nation.
Вы должны это хранить, ценить.
You need to hold on to that, protect that, and keep that blessing.
И благодарить Бога.
And give thanks to God for that.
Это точно. О чем вы еще сказать?
Скажите нам, как ты познакомился Бог через музыку? He asked, what else should I say? And I asked him just to share really briefly how he has met God through music. Коротко скажите.
Хорошо. Думаю, что музыка свидетельствует о Боге.
I think that music is a witness, a reflection of God.
Лютер говорил, что музыка – это самый большой дар после Библии.
Martin Luther said that music is the biggest gift after the Bible that we receive from God.
Мы живем с вами в замечательном мире.
We live in this wonderful world.
В нем очень много тайн.
But there are many mysteries.
И музыка – это немного таинственное явление.
Music kind of exposes those mysteries, reveals those mysteries.
Потому что она идет сразу в сердце.
Because it goes straight to our heart.
И потому что она связана с энергией.
Because it's also very much connected to energy.
Так же, как слово, которое мы произносим.
Because like the words that we say,
очень важно, какое мы слово говорим.
It's very important what kind of words that we use.
Оно может нас поддержать, может убить.
Words may either lift us up or they may kill us or push us down.
И в музыке этот момент тоже есть, момент энергии.
And music is the same way. It can lift us up or can bring us down.
Когда мне было 10 лет,
when I was 10 years old,
я пошел в детский советский кинотеатр.
I went to Soviet Children's Theater.
И там был замечательный фильм Андрея Тарковского «Солярис».
And there was this incredible film by a famous Russian director.
И там был трек музыкальный.
And there was a music track to this film.
Замечательная органная прелюдия Баха.
And it was an organ that was being, the music of Bach being played on an organ.
И это произвело на меня тогда огромное впечатление.
And it had an incredible impression. It left me with an incredible impression after I listened to that music.
Самый главный вопрос, когда ты слушаешь музыку, откуда такая красота?
One of the most important questions when you listen to music is, where does this beauty come from?
Откуда это содержание, эти эмоции, эти
How does it lift me? How does it, the emotions, bring out these emotions in me, these rise up these feelings in me?
И только спустя годы я узнал слова этой музыки, слова.
And only after I listened to that did I understand or actually learn about the words to this music.
Слова лютеранского хорала.
These are the words of the Lutheran choir.
Бах написал музыку на вот такие стихи.
In this music, Johann Sebastian Bach wrote these verses.
Из глубины взывают тебе, то есть
From deep within comes out of you,
Господи,
the Lord or the Spirit.
Не дай мне отчаяться, то есть
Don't give me warning when you mourn or you fall down. Yeah.
Даруй мне веру.
Give me faith.
Даруй исполнять волю.
Help you to fulfill your will, God.
И быть ближнему полезным.
And be closer to that which is healthy, that is good for me.
И вот эта замечательная музыка, я вот сейчас ее сыграю, вы ее
And that music that I heard, that I learned about God through reading the verses to this music, that connected me for the first time to God, that's what he's going to play for us right now. How much more time do we have? Depends on how long you guys want to sit here. He is going to be, between services, he's going to be answering questions. He's going to be playing some more music for us. And so we're really grateful for his presence here today. Do you want to say one? Хочешь сказать еще что-нибудь?
Только слова благодарности Богу за то, что мы с вами живем, за то, что Он нам дает такой интересный мир, за то, что мы, невзирая на расстояние, страны и континенты, мы все дети Божьи.
I do want to give you thanks for just allowing me to be here. And I'm thankful to God that we live together in the same world. We have a connection with each other because of God's presence in our lives.
И музыка, которую я сыграл, я два слова скажу.
And I want to say 2 words about the music that I just played.
Если вы заметили, в самом конце музыка идет вниз.
If you notice, at the end of the music piece, it got very low and quiet.
Это похоже на то, как Иисус спустился в ад.
It is the moment in that movement, in that piece, where Jesus transitions and goes into hell during that time between the cross and the resurrection.
Но он одержал победу, и заканчивается все хорошо, все равно заканчивается мажором.
But it does end, if we kept playing, it does, we do go forward to the resurrection, and it is going to end differently. That wasn't the end of the piece.
Поэтому это и наш путь в жизни. Через трудности, через страдания, через...
It is our path in life, because oftentimes we go through the difficult moments, through the suffering, the hardships.
Через сомнения все равно доверие и вера должна победить доверие.
Even in through those moments, it is our faith that holds us, helps us to overcome.
Потому что Бог обещает нам царство свое.
Because God has promised us God's kingdom in heaven, and that is what awaits us.
Thank you very much. God bless.
And as a reminder, he is going to be answering questions and playing more in between both services. So please stand for our prayers for the church.